Kuzambala, I'm Chunizuk Selden. You're watching Bhutan This Week, our top stories this week. His Majesty the King appoints new cabinet secretary and 5 new zondas. His Holiness the J. Kembo presides over Kinkin Kabum oral transmission at Kinsophoda. Her Majesty the Gilton graces commemoration of World Mental Health Day at the Pema Center. His Majesty the King has appointed the new cabinet secretary and the new zondas of Tashigan, Mongar, Tagana, Pumtha and Tsira. His Majesty granted tha to the new appointees at the Tashishizong in Thimphu on Wednesday.
The Finance Secretary Kezang Diki has been appointed as the new Cabinet Secretary. The new Trashigan Zonda is Ugenduji, who was serving as a Joint Auditor General at the Royal Audit Authority. And former Executive Secretary of Pinsling Tromde Lungtin Jamso is the new Mongar Zonda. Trashi Topge is the new Tagana Zonda. He was serving as Deputy Auditor General at the Royal Audit Authority. Ratna Bahadur Gurung, Specialist Head at the Department of Livestock under the Ministry of Agriculture and Forests, is the new Pumtang Zonda. And the new Sirang Zonda is Sonam. He was serving in the Department of Agriculture under the MOAF as a Specialist Head. Yisha Gelson, BBS News.
His Holiness the J. Kembo is presiding over oral transmission of Kinkin Kabum or the Kinkin Kabum Chaklung at the Kinsophoda in Thimphu. Kinkin Kabum Chaklung refers to the teachings of the accomplished Drupakaji master Kinkin Pema Karpo. The month-long oral transmission began on Sunday.
Nearly 30,000 devotees from across the country gathered at the Kinsophoda early in the morning to attend the oral transmission of Kinkin Kabum. Monks from various monastic institutions from across the country, including a few from neighboring countries like India and Nepal, are also attending the religious ceremony.
The oral transmission is very inclusive and therefore would be very useful for the monks. Moreover, it is also very helpful and important to all the devotees.
I am from Ha, and today I came here to attend the oral transmission. I am very happy as I could see and get blessings from His Holiness the J. Kembo. I want to attend once a week if I cannot attend every day as I am not very well.
I was telling my nephew that so long as I get to be here the remaining days, I won't mind even if I go hungry. I am really happy to be here. I really want to see our Jekempo, so I am waiting here.
At the event, a book consisting of His Holiness the J. Kembo's writings was also launched. It contains religious poems composed by His Holiness. The religious event is organized by the Junra Sang. Kiladim for BBS News.
Her Majesty the Gilton graced the commemoration of World Mental Health Day at the Pema Center Secretariat. World Mental Health Day is observed every year on 10th October. This year's global theme is making mental health and well-being for all a global priority.
The event included the launch of a website and social media handles for the Pema Center Secretariat, hospital-based substance use disorder treatment and care services, the Pema helpline services, and anti-bullying guidelines. The website and social media handles will serve as a platform to update information and activities related to mental health and ease accessibility to services. The Pema helpline services will include counseling services, mental health service information, mobilizing psychosocial support, and referral and follow-up. These services can be availed through 1010 and 112. Mental health-related calls will be directed to the Pema helpline numbers. Hospital-based substance use disorder treatment and care services will provide an effective referral pathway for persons with SUD through a range of care approach. This will offer an increased access to evidence-based SUD treatment practices at the Jimmy Doji Wanshu National Referral Hospital, which will be extended to other regional referral or district hospitals in time. The anti-bullying guidelines for educational institutions have been developed to nurture a safe and harmonious learning environment for children and youth. The guideline will provide a strategic reference for educational institutions to support their anti-bullying initiatives. These initiatives and services are geared towards promoting and supporting psychosocial well-being of all Bhutanese. Sunampem for BBS News.
The Australian High Commission in New Delhi has been receiving overwhelming number of international student visa applications since Australia's border reopening early this year. This has caused delays in processing visa for international students in South Asian region. However, the Australian ambassador to Bhutan assures that measures are put in place to avoid visa delays.
We have seen an incredible resurgence of visa applications from Bhutan post-COVID. They're higher, far higher than they were post-COVID, and that's come as a surprise. This is also true of other countries in the region, and so we are suffering delays, and we have employed almost an additional 50 people to process visas from this region, which is a sign that we're trying to work on them. But certainly, we are working hard to resume business as usual.
Australia has become a dream destination for many Bhutanese in the last couple of years. However, there are rumors that the Australian government has rejected a number of visa applications recently. And this, people speculate, is following the Foreign Minister Dr. Tandi Doji's recent visit to the Southern Hemisphere. The minister addressed these speculations in an exclusive interview with BBS.
Speculations, opinions, and so many questions. The recent visit of the foreign minister to Australia last month has brought about so many discussions on social media, with many saying that his visit to Australia has resulted in numerous visas rejected, and of recent, T-Bank also stopped providing its special education loan. So, while all these has coincided, we are here with Limpo himself to know if it's really true or not. What do you have to say about it, Lalim?
This is absolutely not true, Seshinibi. The government has never intended to stop Bhutanese from going outside. If we wanted to, we would have stopped when the passports when we had exhausted our supply of passports. In fact, we made travel documents available so that Bhutanese can travel abroad. In addition to the study visas that Bhutanese are availing, in fact, I went and requested for additional visas, especially in the training visas and for work and holiday visas. And the recent rejections of visas is not because the Australian government wants to stop Bhutanese from coming to Australia, but mainly it's because they have to complete the process. They have to have all their papers in proper order. Because of the sudden rush, I think, in the haste to submit their applications, many of them were found to be incomplete. And this was the reason that the Australian government has indicated to us. At the same time, also, there are certain courses which are closed for outsiders. It is only for the Australians themselves, such as in diploma courses in several fields, including like plumbing, etc., where it is not open for outsiders, it's only for the Australians. So because of these changes, some of the students from Bhutan who have opted for these courses, and because of the incompleteness of their applications, there has been some rejections.
Now, but having said this, Lalimpo, how concerned are you as a foreign minister that so many Bhutanese are actually living for Australia?
As everybody knows, we are all very concerned whenever Bhutanese are going outside and we are losing them abroad. But at the same time, we must also look at the opportunities that are being created. Many of the Bhutanese that I have met in Australia are actually working very well, working very hard, and contributing both to the economy in Australia, but also picking up valuable skills, and many of them intend to return. And they will return and they will impart those skills and experience that they gathered there back to Bhutan. Many of them are also already investing in Bhutan. They're buying real estate and they intend to build houses here in Bhutan. I think most important is the current state of opportunities for Bhutanese here in the country. If there are adequate opportunities here in the country, then they will not leave. And that is the whole intent of this reforms.
Because so many Bhutanese, they left the country on student visa.
Yes.
So far. So what's the difference between a student visa and the training visa that you just mentioned?
The student visa is very difficult for everybody to apply because you need to have substantial amount of money to pay your fees. Also, you have to show certain savings in the bank to show that you will be able to pay your fees. So this is not accessible to everybody in Bhutan. That's why we have requested the Australian government to provide what is known as training visa, where you don't have to pay any fees and you don't have to show any bank account sums, where they will be given an opportunity to work for 2 years and to learn and earn during the 2 years. So they will be working and they will be learning and they will be picking up skills. And this is very different from the earlier one in Japan. In Australia, it is very well systematized and it is also very well formalized. It's called the Training Visa 407, and this is something that we have requested the Australian government. So this can be availed by anyone because you don't have to pay any fees, and so everybody will have an opportunity.
Specific to Training Visa 407, as far as I'm concerned, it is a short stay visa, which is for people to undergo occupational training or professional development in Australia, which is valid for 2 years. But doesn't it mean that the government is creating a condition that these people have to come back to the country after 2 years? Because as far as we know, right now the current situation is such that people choose to live in Australia for more than 2 years, or some they even opt to get a permanent resident visa. So
our government is not making any conditions. These are all conditions laid down by the Australian government. For us, we are trying to create equal opportunity for everybody. Those who want to go for study visa will continue as it is being done now. Those who have the resources will go for their master's program or longer duration of study followed by work visa. That will continue. We are not stopping that. But we are also giving opportunity for Bhutanese who will not be able to avail this to also have an opportunity to work for 2 years. Otherwise, they will not have any opportunity at all. So we are just creating more opportunities. Those who want to go for work and holiday visa can avail that. Currently, Bhutan is not included in the list of countries that are provided with training visa or work and holiday visa. The study visas that are being provided will continue. We are not stopping that. The condition of returning back after 2 years is a condition by the Australian government, not by Bhutan. But we think that this works best for those who cannot afford to pay large fees. They will have an opportunity to work for 2 years and they can come back with the skills and contribute to Bhutan.
if you have requested to increase the training visa and then work and holiday visa, won't that have an impact on availing student visa?
There are no specific quotas that the Australian government says that we will allow only 5,000 students from Bhutan, etc. There's no quota system. It is open and it is competitive, and it is as long as your papers are in right order and that you are applying for a course that is meaningful to the Australian government, and those who have the educational qualifications and those who have the skills will be selected. So it does not impact. And Australia, most countries around the world are now encouraging more foreign students to come there because they contribute to by paying fees, they contribute to generating foreign reserves. Secondly, by working there, they contribute to the local economy. So it is in their interest. Nobody is stopping anybody from going. And this will not impact the number of transit and work and holiday visas.
Now, talking with the people living in Australia, they have come to us saying that given if the economic situation of the country improves or if it's okay, then they would like to come back. But then, and then the Prime Minister himself also has quite often come to media saying that, the government is trying everything to make the environment as suitable as possible. So what is the government actually doing? You also spoke about the reforms that's happening, but then coincidentally, there are so many people leaving the country right now when the reform is happening. So what do you have to say about that?
We have spent many years, but we have not been able to provide the opportunities that our young people require. That's why many in the past used to go to the Middle East to work, and many still continue to do. The little well-off will choose the more developed countries like Australia and Canada and America. Now, the whole concept of this reform and transformation is to reform and transform so that our young people are provided the skills, they are upskilled and they are newly skilled, and then they have the skills to get the jobs, high quality jobs and high paid jobs in Bhutan. So that's the whole reason why the tourism policy was changed, so that younger people will be upskilled and they will have better opportunities and they'll be paid better. Why should a young person go to work in another country for 25,000 when the same job here in Bhutan you are paid only 6,000? So naturally they will go abroad. But if you can create the same job and same amount of salary, they will stay here. So that's why the whole education sector is being reformed, the whole civil service sector is being reformed. There are reforms taking place, the tourism sector is being reformed. There's reform in every sector as we speak. Similarly in the business environment. Right now, I know we are going through this time of rapid transformation and change, and many people are feeling a little bit of uncertainty and a little bit of insecurity. But I'm very confident that under His Majesty's leadership and under his guidance, the road that we have set out is very clear.
I have now last question. This is perhaps one question that everyone would want to hear. Suppose Limpo is... let's say Limpo is an ordinary civil servant and not the foreign minister of Bhutan. Given the current economic situation, would you choose to go to Australia or perhaps remain in the country?
I would absolutely remain in the country because you have to see the opportunities that are being created. Most people are failing to see the opportunities that are being created. The young people that His Majesty is targeting are seeing their opportunity. Talk to the Desups, the skillings, the upskillings, the opportunities that they're getting. And then from next year, the Gelsung program will start. The reforms that are being done is to provide better public services. And as civil servants, I think this is the right moment where we can contribute. Now, there are many who say that they are being filtered out, that the numbers are being decreased. It is not that. I mean, the 2 years of COVID has taught us some valuable lessons, and we must learn from those lessons and then reset and also reset our priorities. And that is why we are very clear about what needs to change. And exactly, I think if I was a civil servant today, I would be more interested to contribute towards that and then let my grandchildren know that I was one of those people who contributed to these changes.
The Australian ambassador to Bhutan reaffirms Australia's continued assistance to Bhutan even after its graduation from the group of least developed countries next year. Australia's bilateral funding to Bhutan for 2022 to 2023 is over 4 million Australian dollars. Since this year also marks the 20th year of establishment of diplomatic ties between the two countries, the ambassador to Bhutan says it is a relationship that continues to grow strongly.
Education and human resource development are the cornerstone of the bilateral relationship between Bhutan and Australia. In an exclusive interview with the BBS last night, the Australian ambassador to Bhutan said Australia will continue to provide similar bilateral aid programs to Bhutan.
Well, it is an extraordinary relationship between a big island continent in the southern part of the world and a small, magnificent mountain kingdom. The good news is that over the last 10 to 12 years, the numbers of those scholarships and the like, the amount of master training going on, the amount of skills education that's occurring in Australia has been quite strong. I see no reason for that to diminish, and indeed I think some of the strategic lessons from COVID, as well as some of the economic lessons that all of us have had from COVID, means that I suspect we'll be seeing governments trying to lean in more closely to assist countries.
With the new Australian government working to bring a radical change in the climate policy and become a global superpower in renewable energy, the ambassador says this may open new areas of bilateral cooperation with Bhutan.
There is no doubt that Australia will be seeking to work with countries like Bhutan, who are already leading in so many areas, who are lucky enough to be emission-free and in fact an emission importer, if I can unkindly put it in those terms. And so I think a change of government, their focus on climate policy will open up a new stream of relationships, bilateral relationships, not just with Bhutan, but with many countries, particularly in our region.
About 2,000 Bhutanese from diverse professional backgrounds underwent long-term and short-term courses under Australian government scholarships to date. There are officially about 12,000 Bhutanese studying and working in Australia. According to the ambassador, the Bhutanese community is also a part of Australia's multicultural society. Although Bhutan and Australia established formal bilateral relations in 2002, the warm and friendly relationship between the two countries dates back to 1962 when Bhutan joined the Colombo Plan. Headquartered in Sri Lanka, the Colombo Plan is a regional intra-governmental organization that primarily focuses on human resource development in its 28 member countries, with Australia being one of the members. Bimal Hardin, BBS News.
The Gasa hot spring or Gasa Tsachu will take some time to reopen for public. The management is still carrying out restoration works at the site. The hot spring, which is believed to cure skin problems, joint pains and digestive disorder among others, was completely washed away by the mochu in August last year.
Identifying the water sources of the hot spring and the works to divert the mochu have almost completed. The sources were found intact in the same old locations. For the management, this was a major concern as they feared the flood water could have washed away the source of the hot spring. The restoration work is currently focusing on leveling the ground at the site. The hot spring is being enclosed with concrete walls to avoid similar disaster in the future.
The famous Gasa Tsachu has been completely washed away by the flood water on the night of 26th August last year. This incident has left many people disheartened and incurred a huge loss on the government. However, we are very much blessed and excited to have identified and recovered all the water sources of hot spring.
The Tsachu, along with all the structure at the site, was washed away by the Solon Mochu. The hot spring had 7 ponds and 4 concrete structures and a stupa. As part of the restoration project, the course of the mochu is being diverted from the hot spring by constructing walls.
In the past, mochu was flowing nearby the hot spring site. Therefore, we are working on diverting the mochu, and about 90% of the river diversion work has been completed.
The management will not allow public to visit the hot spring until the site development works are complete. The hot spring area is still not safe for public, and the works to install soaking ponds will begin only after completing the site development and water diversion works.
Firstly, the monsoon season is still going on, and secondly, the hot spring site is still not stable and safe for public. In addition, the protection of hot spring water sources and restoration works is still ongoing at the site. Moreover, we do not have any ponds to let people soak at the site today. Therefore, the district administration has restricted the public and visitors at the site for the time being.
Meanwhile, the management says the revenue from the guest houses dropped drastically. Only a handful of people visiting the near hot stone bath use the facility. The hot spring would usually bring about 2.5 million itum in revenue annually from the guest houses. The Tsachu management is working to complete the hot spring restoration within June next year. For Chengadorji in Gasa, this is Samtin Dolkar for BBS News.
Cultivating sunflowers is becoming popular amongst farmers in Phumtha in recent years, especially with those at Jalikar village. Cultivation has doubled from close to 10 acres last year to about 20 acres this year. Farmers say business is quite profitable and it is not very laborious. Farmers primarily grow the plant for its seeds currently and hope to extract oil in the future.
By early autumn, the plants are ready for harvesting. Farmers cut the flower heads to collect the seeds. The seeds are then winnowed before they are left to dry. They are finally sold in the market in small packages. Each packet contains a flask cap full of seeds. Farmers in Jalika started cultivating the plant in small quantities about a decade ago.
We used to grow in a small garden in the past for our own household. Then we started selling them in small packages and increased our production. We cultivated the most this year. We get enough for pocket money by selling the seeds. We fetch 20 ngatam for a packet. Birds damage some flowers, but it's not a serious issue as of now.
They were initially given the oilseed variety used for extracting oil by the district agriculture sector. However, due to lack of an oil expeller machine, they switched to the non-oilseed variety.
We are planning to produce our own oil so that we don't have to buy from the market. But we first need an oil expeller or a refinery.
Sunflower cultivation is not as laborious as other farm work. Many people would start cultivating the plant for oil if a machine becomes available nearby.
The district agriculture sector has no specific plans for promoting sunflower cultivation. However, there are plans to promote mustard oil production in the district this financial year. The Chief District Agriculture Officer Sonam Gelson said his office is planning to procure a mustard oil expeller for the Thangbi Farmers Group. However, it won't be able to extract sunflower oil. He also said a study would have to be conducted to see if the current variety of sunflower is suitable for oil extraction before planning to buy a sunflower oil expeller. According to the National Statistics Bureau, edible oil worth more than 950 million kilograms was among the top 10 imports Bhutan made in 2020. Small efforts like the ones made by the farmers in Bomdang with the right interventions could add up to achieving food security during a time when the food supply chain becomes disrupted due to unprecedented global events like wars and pandemics. For Kipchu in Bomdang, Isha Gelson, BBS News.
That is all we have for you this week. Thank you for watching. Take care and goodbye.